Okay, so get this. What if a 19th century national anthem held the key to understanding our fight for digital justice today? It sounds kind of wild, I know, but we're going to decode how this old cry for freedom gives us the perfect language for our modern battles against surveillance and algorithmic control.
To get us started, just imagine two prisoners. One is from the 1970s, trapped by concrete walls and steel bars. The other is from today, locked in a cell made of data barriers and public shaming. Their prisons look totally different, right? But as we're about to see, their struggle for justice is exactly the same.
So, can a song from the 1800s really explain justice in the 21st century? It seems like a stretch, but the powerful lyrics of Uruguay's national anthem are actually a surprisingly relevant code for understanding our digital rights and all the new ways they're under threat.
So let's get into it. This whole collision of worlds really kicks off with the story of a modern-day digital prisoner.
I want you to meet Alberto Daniel Hill. He's a cybersecurity expert, one of the good guys, an ethical hacker. He's not a criminal, but his story, well, his fight against a system that just didn't get it, is the key that unlocks this entire conversation.
So, how in the world did a respected professional end up becoming what's known as Uruguay's Prisoner Zero, its very first incarcerated hacker? His case is basically a perfect anatomy of a justice system that is dangerously unprepared for the digital age.
Okay, so it all started back in 2014. Hill did exactly the right thing. He found a security flaw in a medical website and ethically reported it. But then, years later, that good deed actually led to his arrest. He spent 8 long months locked up in preventative detention, before finally, in 2022, being completely and totally exonerated.
So here's the insane part. Years after Hill's report, someone else used that same vulnerability, which was never fixed by the way, to try and extort the company. When the authorities looked into it, they had 2 names. The real criminal, who was anonymous, and Alberto Daniel Hill. For a justice system that didn't understand the technology, he was the perfect scapegoat.
And while he was in prison, Hill saw the system's flaws up close. He put it this way: he discovered the harsh reality of a justice that seemed to depend more on economic power than on the truth. Basically, it felt like if you had money, you could go home. If you didn't, you were stuck.
Hill's case is so important that it gives us a name for this danger: the technological justice gap. It's that huge, scary inequality that opens up when judges and prosecutors can't tell the difference between a security expert and a cybercriminal. In this gap, knowledge can look like guilt, and justice becomes just ignorant.
And this is where it all circles back to that 19th century anthem, because its famous line, "Tyrants tremble," is about to get a 21st century reboot.
Check this out. The anthem's core ideas become a blueprint for our modern challenges. La patria o la tumba, the homeland or the grave, that's no longer about physical territory. It's about our choice between digital sovereignty and data colonialism. Libertad, freedom, isn't just about civil liberties. It's about defending free expression from algorithmic censorship. And the spirit of the laws? That's our demand for a digital rule of law, one that fights back against bias.
The anthem's warning to tyrants gets pretty fierce. It literally says they will meet Brutus's dagger, a classic callback to the ultimate act of resistance against a dictator. So what on earth is the digital equivalent of that weapon today?
Well, today's daggers aren't made of steel. There are tools of digital resistance. We're talking about things like end-to-end encryption that protects our conversations, open-source software that gives us alternatives to corporate control, and ethical hacktivism, exactly the kind of thing Alberto Hill was doing that exposes flaws to make us all safer. These are the modern weapons we use to hold power accountable.
And don't think this is just some abstract idea or a single court case. This fight is happening all around us, every single day, on new battlefields that affect all of us.
Just consider this number for a second. Uruguay now has nearly 9,000 surveillance cameras equipped with automated facial recognition. This isn't just about security anymore. It's an unprecedented infrastructure for mass surveillance that totally changes the nature of public space.
And that physical surveillance is paired with something called cyber patrolling, where police are just proactively monitoring social media. Critics argue this blurs the line into illegal intelligence gathering, without a warrant. Together, these things create a chilling effect, threatening our fundamental rights to privacy and peaceful protest.
The second battlefield is a lot quieter, but maybe even more powerful: algorithmic discrimination. When you train an AI on historical data that's already full of our society's biases, it learns to copy and even amplify those same prejudices. This can lead to real-world discrimination in everything from who gets a loan to who gets policed, creating these new invisible forms of social exclusion.
But here's the good news. These threats are not going unanswered. A vibrant resistance has popped up. A whole network of digital rights activists, NGOs, and collectives who are all fighting back to protect our freedoms.
All of which brings us back to the anthem's final, powerful vow, and a choice that every generation, including ours, has to make for itself.
You know, if there's one thing Alberto Hill's story teaches us, it's this. Our biggest weakness isn't flawed code. It's flawed laws, and a lack of civic engagement to actually fix them. The greatest vulnerability we face is not technical, it's civic and legal.
So, fulfilling that heroic vow from the anthem today doesn't mean picking up a weapon. It means demanding that algorithms be audited for bias. It means defending encryption as an essential shield for our privacy. And it means protecting the whistleblowers and ethical hackers who have the courage to expose the system's flaws in the first place.
The anthem's final line is a promise. It is the vow that the soul proclaims and which we will heroically know how to fulfill. The choice between a digital patria, a homeland of freedom and knowledge, and a digital tumba, a grave of surveillance and control, is ours to make. So the final question really is, how will our generation fulfill that heroic vow?